People, deluded, I'm back again. Hopefully you lot can hear me fine, and if you can't, apologies. I haven't done this sort of vid for a while, or a hot minute, but there seems to be a lot of talking points in regards to Arsenal at the moment. But three things that I probably haven't spoken about, I'll get onto it. But Unai Emery's been charged by the FA for improper conduct in regards to kicking the bottle at Brighton. Obviously, I've spoken about it before in a vid, but Gary Cahill to Arsenal on loan or just in any capacity seems to be intensifying, and there's strong reports in regards to it. And obviously, you've got Banega. Two Arsenal reports are strengthening again in regards to Unai Emery wanting him to bolster his midfield ranks. So we'll start off quickly with, I've already spoken in a vid about Reyes being a motivator. So spoiler alert if that one ain't come out yet. But just on a quick one, the FA have obviously announced Unai Emery has been charged with improper conduct for the water bottle, but Mohamed Salah gets to dive, and you've deemed that the referee's already seen the thing. Now, I'm not excusing it. Unai Emery, if he's kicked, I mean, come on now, no one was harmed. Like, it's ridiculous to suggest anyone was harmed, but you shouldn't be kicking things around. We're all taught by our parents like you shouldn't be kicking things and putting your hands on people. Not that he was, but you shouldn't put your hands on people. You shouldn't be kicking things. There's certain things you don't do in it. Obviously, it's football, heat at the moment. Some people smack things. Jose Mourinho scores and smashes up the water bottles. Unai Emery obviously got frustrated and booted it, and he's probably booted 1,000 since he's joined Arsenal, 1,000 water bottles, and nothing's been made of it and nothing's happened. It's only until things like this happen. Every manager goes through some sort of incident like this, and it's just, they had to bag him on something, did it? He's come to Arsenal, he's come to the Prem. Yeah, recently he's had a bit of a wobble, but more often than not, it's going all right for him. He had his unbeaten run. He got a point against Liverpool. Our players are scoring good goals. Aubameyang, for the first time in a while, Arsenal have got a top goal scorer in regards to the Golden Boot shout. Everything's been going too well. Even Torreira's not been suspended yet. They had to bag him on something, and he had to get the welcome to England, welcome to the Premier League, mate. Like, you know what I mean? He had to get that, people. So yeah, it's nothing really. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, not that. I mean, if he does get found guilty and he does get some fine or some stuff, I find it, what's the word? Preposterous would be the right word. Not that that's in my vocab. I ain't heard that in a minute, but is what it is. Moving on now, people. Gary Cahill links to Arsenal have returned. Now, this time, if we look at what's been said, even via the Telegraph, Chelsea are understood to be willing to sell Gary Cahill in January, or even accept a loan deal, given that the interested club pays his wages in fully. He's on 110k a week. The player allegedly prefers a loan deal on staying in the Premier League. A 6-month loan deal could cost clubs £4 million. Now, on one hand, if Arsenal are really tight about money, does it really make sense to waste £4 million on a player that is really past it, and ultimately, you're at best, he's stopgap, he's helping to aid the emergency injury crisis, and does he really scream out and shout at you that he's better than the other options? Probably not. So it wouldn't make sense. But on the other hand, I would like Mislintat to do his job. I think he has done his job, and the club need to allow him to just... again, Medley might get... I'm not saying Medley will be the answer, but surely there's... With what we're doing right now, we can't really... And if this is true, throwing Medley in at first team level and just letting him get a learning experience, or allowing Mislintat to find a young player that's rough around several edges, or someone that's got potential to grow with experience, then this. Now, if I look at the club, I mean, I've said this, you've got to be pessimistic as a football manager. For Reece Nelson and Callum Chambers, they're getting good football at their respective clubs. It's taken Chambers a while at Fulham, and Nelson's kind of in and out the side, not really starting. But they're getting football in it, so the loans can be backed up. But by a pessimistic manager sort of thing, in August, you have to be looking at is that, okay, cool, I've got Danny Welbs, I've got Lacazette, I've got Aubameyang, I've got Mesut, I've got several others. Eddie Nketiah is touching on the first team. Can I allow Nelson to go out on loan? I know I need a winger, and I probably need some options off the bench, but if there's an opportunity for him to go out on loan, should I? You should be sitting there, and again, I'm not trying to say I know everything, because in hindsight, everyone's smart, but you should be sitting there thinking about these sort of things in August. What if there's an injury crisis? For someone that's meant to be big on analysis and stuff, surely the medical man them or whatever at the club probably showed them a period where Arsenal are more likely to get more injuries than not. Personally, I also feel as well, again, I'm reaching a bit because we've had some injuries on the football field and things like that. So I don't want to say it's that, and I'm not a physio, but I personally feel a couple of these injuries, I might do a separate vid, but I personally feel a couple of these injuries could possibly be because of the demands he's been implementing on the players. We know there's been double sessions. We know it's high intensity and we're running more and things like that. These players are obviously fitter than I'm giving them credit for, but that might be an angle. So, yeah, back to the main point though. If they're looking at it, okay, no. In fact, back to the Chambers and Nelson's points. You've got to be pessimistic. You've got to kind of be selfish and say to Chambers, I understand you want first team football, but at the end of the day, I need fit bodies. If people don't get injured and Chambers stays, then people ask the question about loans. But you now see it in it, people. We've had to put Xhaka's had to put in a shift. We've obviously had to play Lick starting the day. We've had to do a couple things out there. So the club probably looking at it is that, alright, cool. January, we ain't got too much money. Yes, we've got our scouting targets. If we can bring these players in, these young other better targets, then cool. But if not, considering the injury crisis, considering the fact that Cahill was one step out the door, I suppose on one hand he's an experienced individual. He's played for his country. He's won a Premier League title with Chelsea. That, similar to Lichtsteiner and Cech at a point, can rub off on the rest of the players. Ultimately, he's homegrown as well, so that could be an attractive proposition. From the player's point of view, he stays within the capital, so he doesn't probably have to uproot his young family. If it's just a loan spell, it's just a loan. It allows us cover. It allows us someone that to get games, and then we can move forward into the summer with different targets. Maybe, obviously in January, it's not even maybe. People know you're against time. You have almost essentially a month or just less than a month to get deals done. People know you're pressed against time. Obviously, in a business point of view, that's an ace up someone's sleeve, so they know that you're probably prepared to overpay or do things in a rush. That's typically happens in January. Ironically, Arsenal have been doing some of their best business in January, because you look at, obviously, Torreira's probably our best signing in recent years, excluding Alexis Sanchez, but Aubameyang came to the club in January, and so did Mkhitaryan. I'm sure the January before that we did something as well, not major, but yeah, January seems to be the thing for us, so I'm not too sure what we do. If the player prefers a loan, I must say it's testament to Cahill, because you're fighting an uphill battle. I mean, Fingy clearly doesn't rate you. Sarri clearly doesn't rate you. You might as well keep it moving. But if that's what you want to do, that's what you're going to do. You people know my opinions on this Cahill thing already. I've said it in it, so we don't need to say any more. Is what it is. So if we just delete that. And finally, Banega. Now, Banega's a decent midfielder. Personally, I would take him. I'm not going to say I would be ecstatic with him. I'm not belittling the player or saying anything. I just wouldn't jump out my seat. He's a good midfielder. He's a multifunctional midfielder. He can play several systems, specifically to Emery. Possibly Emery's man, so he knows his way of thinking, training, working. If he's got his man, we've been saying that if he gets his own players, we'll give him a bit of leeway till he gets his own players. That's one of his own players, so I'd like to see how he implements him and utilises him. So if he's on that, cool. Arsenal allegedly prepared to trigger his £20 million release clause again. Out of midfield talents, on one hand, if we haven't really got money and someone that Emery's, whether I like him or not, they've deemed they want to bring to the club, and it's a 20 million thing, then he's probably assessed it properly. So again, I wouldn't be screaming at that, but he's a better player than people giving him credit for. But again, it's not the signing for me. One thing I don't like about this news, it feels like we're begging him to come to the club. Allegedly, Ivan Gazidis met with his people them about a move in the summer. Apparently, he ultimately stayed at Seville and I think renewed his contract, forgive me if I'm wrong. Apparently, he wasn't too keen on the move. It just feels like begging. From the stuff you read, it just feels like we're begging the man to come to the club. We're prepared to activate his release clause, but it remains to be unseen whether the player would want to join us. If we've spoken with the player and we're still trying to persist, then why should we really be doing this? Allegedly, Sanye's been told don't come back with a no from the players' representatives, and also allegedly the players' agents in London, so maybe something is going to be done. A lot of these reports, or arguably the more exciting reports, are from his homeland in Argentina, and again, it's from his homeland. They've got a relevance to speak about these sort of stories, but some messages are coming out of Seville. We'll have to see in it. But if the player, if you can agree a fee with the club and the player sounding a bit iffy, then I wouldn't be on it, innit? Because again, it could be speculation, and he might be down for it, or people just might not know a thing and just be inventing a story. But any club, if you've got to think twice about, if you're trying to convince someone and they're thinking twice about it, then I'm not really on it, really, unless you're Lionel Messi or a young Cristiano Ronaldo and you're moving iffy about my club. You can't really be supporting and pursuing players. Yes, if you don't pursue these players, they turn around and do the best madness on a football pitch and score 20,000 goals. You're gonna look like a bit of a donut, but it's principles, man. So yeah, especially if you're an Emery. Again, if Ivan Glazides spoke to him and his agents and things all had talks, then surely Unai Emery's got to have spoken to his former player and said sort of thing. So he's got to have probably known where the man's head's at, or slightly. Or if not, again, it's a difficult decision. Does he uproot his family where they've been good in Seville? Does he, I don't know, does he want to move back to his homeland or a new challenge in the Prem? It's a lot of things to take on and consider for several people. But for me, if I'm Unai Emery sitting down and I've said what I've had to say in this regards and I'm not getting positive signals or certain signals, don't you move on, in my opinion. And it's completely irrelevant. But for me, you guys know I've been vocal on central midfielders. I'm not always right and things like that, but I don't need to talk about it all the time. The CV in regards to what I speak about, what happens on the football pitch, and what comes to flutation are facts, really. Um, you guys know of what I've been talking about in regards to what players and what positions we should sign in regards to our side. I'm just trying to hear a centre half. I'm really from now at least in the summer we'll pick things up again in it, but January I'm just trying to hear centre half people. I'm just trying to hear a defender, please, because ideally I would love someone within the ages maybe 19 to 26. Obviously if they're 26 and them sort of ages, I'm either expecting someone within their prime or I'm expecting someone which has promise, will obviously let us down, will have good games, still trying to get consistency, but they have the scope to develop to another level. Rough around several edges. I'm obviously I would love someone in their prime, but typically someone with their prime peak of their power, someone that really makes us stand up and think, okay, wow, this is a signing. Someone like that typically follows a premium. It looks like Arsenal on their Tories vibe and on this austerity measures. So how wishful is that thinking, really? So for me anyways, I'm just hoping Mislintat is somewhere in Siberia or Scandinavia or Antarctica or places you wouldn't normally expect Arsenal to be scouting. In fact, Scandinavia's brought us some good players, but I want him to look through the four corners or however many corners of this world are. I want him to be all up in Africa, all up in Asia, all up in North America, South America, even if there is a West America, just everywhere to find this centre half that has the scope to do that. They don't call him Diamond Eyes for a reason. They don't call him Diamond Eyes for no reason. So hopefully he's doing exactly that. That's my big hope. If again, apologies, people. It's difficult to sign players, regardless of if you've got eyes in every corner of the world. So if we can't do that, then fair enough. But ultimately, if we can just sign someone competent, I'm not one that cares for profiles and stuff. Obviously, I'd love to have 11 stars in the team, but ultimately, I just want competency. If the man's a centre half, can he tackle? Is his positioning good? Can he mark? Obviously, at Arsenal, we're going to need to be able to play out from the back. So I don't really care for the ball playing thing. I'm not saying you have to be Van Dijk or Rio Ferdinand or something like that. But you probably got to look at that phase as well. Can he mark is the main one for me. Can he mark from corners? Can he follow men? That's the main one for me. But I'm going off topic now. I've said what I need to say in this vid. So people, hopefully I've given you lot some decent content. If not, apologies. On that note though, comment, subscribe and do the rest. DG, I'm out.